When I step into Graveyard Antics Escape, I am not just loading up another game on my screen, I am entering a world where my real-life movement and this eerie digital universe collide. Right now, what I am showing you is an experience that blends fitness, fun, and Web3 into something that feels completely different. It is not about sitting still and clicking through menus. It asks me to move, to walk, to exercise, and that physical effort becomes the engine that drives my character across this dark track.
As soon as I log in, I can see my character standing at the starting line. I am not alone here. I can see other players. I can see my name floating above my avatar, and somewhere out there on the other side, the monsters are waiting. This entire experience is built around the idea that movement matters. Every step, every walk, every real-world action becomes progress. It is meant to bring a little bit of positivity into my life, not in a motivational speech way, but in a playful, cinematic, haunted escape kind of way. While I am showing you this game, what I feel is that the world is lighthearted, even though it looks dark. The graveyard, the fog, the forest, the creatures, it all serves as a kind of backdrop, not to scare, but to push me to chase that feeling of seeing my character move, knowing I made that happen by getting up and doing something. The foundation of the game is simple. Move, escape, and try to stay ahead. But there is something more subtle happening. It is giving me a reason to care. I get to track my progress, compare my pace to others, and know there is a leaderboard where every little bit of effort adds up. It is the kind of experience that I could see myself checking every day just to see how far I have moved since yesterday. I like how it welcomes anyone. I do not have to be an athlete. I do not need gym equipment. I can simply log what I did and the game honors it. Some players will sync with Fitbit. Others will enter activity manually. Either way, the message is the same. Movement counts and this world responds. So as this gameplay unfolds, imagine everything I show as a direct extension of real life. What you do out there decides what happens in here. This introduction is my invitation to lean into that mix of fantasy and reality, to step into a graveyard, not to fear it, but to run to escape, and maybe to smile at how strange and satisfying that journey feels. When I step back and think about what Graveyard Antics Escape is really trying to do, it becomes clear that this is more than just a game on a track. The purpose underneath it all is to make movement feel rewarding, to take something as simple as exercise and transform it into a shared adventure right here in this eerie, playful world. As I move my character forward, I can feel the intention. It is inviting me and anyone watching to imagine fitness not as a chore, but as something I genuinely want to keep returning to. This world is made for people like me, gamers, community members, or even those who just want a reason to stand up and breathe fresh air. It is for anyone who wants a nudge to take steps forward, whether those steps happen in a park, a treadmill, or even inside a living room. I notice that what motivates me most is not a health chart or a statistic, but the idea that somewhere in this fantasy setting, I am escaping monsters, I am advancing, I am earning my place. The long-term vision behind this game is exactly that, to give us a place where physical activity becomes progress, where participation matters, and where showing up day after day becomes something I can feel proud of. There is also an interesting future layer. The game hints at crypto-based rewards, using a token called Tomb. One day, the distance I walk or the time I commit could translate into bragging rights or something I could earn. It tells me that consistency has value, not just in my body, but even in how I show up in the digital world. The details are not fully defined yet, but the direction is clear. Effort will matter and recognition will come from real movement. For me, the biggest shift is how it changes the relationship between a player and a game. Normally I sit, I stare, and the world moves while I stay still. Here I move, and the world responds. It feels like a system designed to give us momentum, gently through play, through competition, and through an environment that does not lecture but encourages. So, while I keep playing, what guides me is the simple truth at its center. This place exists to make life a little more active, a little more social, and maybe even more hopeful. It knows that not everyone has access to outdoor space or facilities, and it still makes room for them. That tells me this vision is about inclusion, about giving people an arena where everyone can participate, no matter where they are. So as this gameplay unfolds, imagine everything I show as a direct extension of real life. What you do out there decides what happens in here. This introduction is my invitation to lean into that mix of fantasy and reality, to step into a graveyard, not to fear it, but to run to escape and maybe to smile at how strange and satisfying that journey feels. As I keep playing and looking closely at what makes this experience different, I realize the standout features are what give this world its depth. When I log in, the very first thing I see is my character appearing at the starting line, visible, ready, and already tied to my activity outside the game. That moment alone tells me this is not a passive experience. It is connected to what I do in real life. One of the biggest features is the escape system. That is the backbone of everything I am showing you. An escape is like a race, a track, a journey where I move forward only if I move in real life. If I walk, if I exercise, if I do some kind of physical activity, the game converts that effort into distance and I get to watch my character progress. That transformation is powerful because I can literally see my decisions and my habits shaping my place in this ghostly world. There are 2 different escape formats and each one changes how the game feels. Time-based escapes convert minutes of activity into progress. If I do a 30-minute yoga session or walk on a treadmill, the game moves my character forward. It does not matter how far I actually traveled, only time matters. This makes it accessible for anyone who cannot go outside or does not have space. Then on the other side, there are distance-based escapes. If I go for a walk or a run, the miles or kilometers I cover in real life turn into distance on the track. It feels more literal, like the world is mirroring my pace. The Endless Escape uses this format where the track is 150 kilometers, and when I reach the end, I start again. My laps stack, and the leaderboard records everything. It turns something simple like daily steps into a long-term story. Another feature I love is how this world reacts when I fall behind. If the monsters catch me, my character becomes a ghost. It is not a punishment. Yet, there is no penalty, but visually it hits. I immediately know I need to move again. I start to care. Not because the game forces me, but because I do not want to drift through this world. As a ghost, customization also stands out. I can choose a character from a selection inside the game, or if I own Congregant NFTs, I can connect my wallet and use one as my avatar. It turns my movement into a representation of identity, letting me show something I own. Something that is mine right here on the field with everyone else. All of these features combined create something unique. I am not simply playing to win, I am playing to move, to stay ahead, to watch this universe respond to me, and that makes every step outside the game feel like it matters. So, as this gameplay unfolds, imagine everything I show as a direct extension of real life. What you do out there decides what happens in here. This introduction is my invitation to lean into that mix of fantasy and reality, to step into a graveyard, not to fear it, but to run to escape, and maybe to smile at how strange and satisfying that journey feels. As I move through this world and show you how the game responds, I also want to explain how Cardano actually fits into this experience. Cardano is not running the gameplay logic, and it is not controlling how the monsters chase me, but it does play a role in how I express who I am inside this world.
For me, that is where Cardano gives this experience a layer of personal ownership. I am not just choosing a skin from a menu. I am choosing something that exists in my wallet and something that I can show publicly here where everyone can see it. That visual proof is meaningful because it blends my actions, my exercise, and my presence in this digital landscape with something I genuinely possess on-chain. There is also a future threat. The game hints at with crypto rewards plan through a token called Tomb. That part is not active yet, and there are no specific mechanics shown around how Cardano will be used for those rewards, so I cannot tell you how claiming, distribution, or earning will work. What I do know from what exists today is simply that rewards are expected in the future, and that the token is part of what is coming. Right now, the Cardano component is focused purely on letting me express identity. It does not run the leaderboard, it does not calculate my fitness, and it is not involved in syncing data. Those systems are separate. The only confirmed active bridge is NFT identity selection and the promise of token rewards later. Anything beyond that has not been defined. So when someone sees my character moving and sees the NFT I am using, they are not just looking at a random avatar. They are looking at something anchored in blockchain ownership. It becomes a quiet, subtle signal that my progress is tied not just to movement, but also to who I am within digital communities. That is the current connection between this gameplay and Cardano, and as I continue to play, I can already imagine how the world might evolve. But for now, I stay grounded in what actually exists, NFT identity support, and a future path toward rewards. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And before I go, don't forget, if you'd like to receive a very short but value-packed email from me every Tuesday, you can sign up for the Cardano Gaming newsletter. Every Monday, I'll be sharing the latest from the Cardano gaming ecosystem to help you make better decisions. So if you don't want to miss out, just go to the link on the screen, leave me your email, and very soon I'll be in your inbox. That's all for today. I hope you have a great week.